Hello, Dave. Today is Sunday, the 17th of April, 2022, Easter Sunday. I am the Bro 9000 and I trust you are all functioning well today. We are talking the Muses today and all the shite that has been happening in entertainment this week. Hello, everybody. I am Mr. Brown. Happy Easter and welcome to the show. Lots to get through. So, for the 10,000 viewers who are watching this now, let's get the guests out. First up, set your Jedi Power Wands to stunning and brave, your Photoshop automations to full power. He's an ambassador for Wuhan, don't you know? We have the wonderful, not Brian Young.
Hey, good evening, Brun. Good evening, chat. How are we all?
Pretty good. Are you all right, mate?
Yes, I'm. A certain team got a certain result today, and I'm very, very happy.
Ooh, Celtic.
No. Let's just say that Celtic Daniel will be in a bit of a downer this weekend.
So, good day, yes.
Yes, I'm afraid it was good for me, but not so good for Celtic Daniel.
Poor Daniel. I'll just say hello, Dermot. Hello, Matt G. So, you well? Everything good, yes?
Yeah, not too bad. A bit of a rough weekend for several reasons, but I'm raring to go this evening.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Let's choose some fat tonight. We'll get the next guest out, yes? We'll get the next
yes.
out. Oh, yes. Okay. He's back for more punishments. It's Geek What? I always have trouble with that. It's Geek What! Exclamation mark, question mark, himself. It is the wonderful, and he is Matt Cat 83.
What's up, nerds?
What's up, nerds?
I have a problem with my own name too. It's grammatically not correct. So I have a question mark and an exclamation point. It's stupid, but whatever.
Yeah, how are you? Roll off the tongue, that mate. Yeah, I'm good. Are you all right?
I'm good. Well, it's supposed to be like geek what and everything, but I'm all right. I'm not having the best day, but it's fine. It's fine.
I don't to say it's Easter. I don't think anybody's having the best day. I know one of the guests is, but yeah. Anyway,
it happens.
So everything good? Yes. You've been you up to speed with the entertainment that's been happening?
Yeah, I mean for the most part, yeah.
It's always the same.
It is
dire entertainment, isn't it?
Yeah. It's crazy because all my friends are like, "You hate everything." I'm like, "No, everything is just shit."
Apart from one program, which is back in about a week's time.
Yeah, which I thought it was back last week, so I got all excited and everything, and I was like, "Oh!" And I was like, "This is their problem." I was like,
"That's Superman and Lois, everybody. The best program you're not watching." So
for sure,
everything's good in Matt Catland, yes?
Yes, everything's good.
Shall we get the next body out? I think
Absolutely.
We should.
Do it.
Right. Okay. Here he is. He is the wise elder of the channel, the writer, portal director, paid up member of the Selfishness Appreciation Society. It's the great mega geek himself, Ian David Diaz.
Hello, everyone. How are we today?
Hello, sir. You good?
Yeah. Well, I'm good. I'm doing all right.
Good family time.
Yep. Wonderful. Screaming kids. Couldn't ask for more.
Excuse my French. It was a big fucking table, that.
It was. It was. I've got a huge family. They, yeah. But it's still a lot of fun. I find all of that stuff funny, but it's just me, I guess. Yeah.
I envy you. It's good to have shit like that, mate. Well done.
Yeah, family's important. That's all I can say.
Big day today, family, and an episode dropped this evening, didn't it?
What, Doctor Who?
Exactly what?
No, I didn't watch it. I refuse to watch. That's not real Doctor Who. I refuse to watch nonsense like that. So there you go.
I'll just say hello, PJ. Nice to see you, mate. Okay, so you know what my next question is then, Ian? Shall we wheel the Lord out?
Yes, bring the Lord out. The lad. Bring him out.
Hallelujah. Praise the lad.
The lad.
Praise the lad.
Praise the lad.
Yeah.
Oscar doesn't give him a welcome like this. Okay, so looking at my script. If I can find it, where is he? Sometimes in life, you just have to slum it with the peasants. It's the posh boy himself. He had a very nice surprise when he woke up. It's Lord 1K subscribers. Cord.
Hello there.
Hello there.
Some people wake up when you say they wake up to a nice surprise, and you immediately think, well, blowjob? I wake up to more subscribers on YouTube, which is my equivalent thereof. So the same kind of pleasure in the nether regions.
You think blowjob? I think a job would do me. But there you go. So are you buzzing on the excitement, knowing you're on the cusp of selling out?
Yeah, I'm really, really looking forward to being demonetized immediately. But so far, we actually haven't had any strikes or complaints or threats since we hit the 1,000 yet. So there's still time.
You've not got the email from YouTube yet?
I actually haven't checked, no, but I probably should. I'll do that later.
Oh, it'll be a nice surprise.
It would.
So you good? You're going to chew the fat with us, yes?
Sounds good to me.
A lot to get through, so we'll just we'll go steady. Sure and steady wins the race, as Wogan used to say. Mr. Brown Alliance, please like, subscribe. I'll start again. Please like, share, and subscribe. Most of our viewers are just people who are not subscribers, but there you go. Right, okay. So, Halo, who watched this week?
Not me.
Is it just me?
I think so.
You. I have not had time to catch up on the most recent episode. I apologize.
Well, I will say for episode 4, I'm still liking it. The main story is the Spartans are removing their kind of implants that kind of keep them in check. John removed his last week. That's the Master Chief. And Kai 125 removed hers. She's one of the big kind of Amazon Spartans. John and the Dr. Halsey have gone on a mission back to John's old planet. Spoilers, by the way, to find the artifact. They have one already, but apparently they come in pairs. So it's kind of like a MacGuffin chase type thing. But they have.
Do they find one that's like it's a knife, and then you have to pull a thing out of the knife, and then you have to line it up with the Halo ring? And
yeah, something like that. Yes, yeah. So they're kind of now aware of the ring, but
the one ring.
Yeah,
them all.
But the problem I had with this week's episode is Kai 125, who was the female Spartan, removed the implants. First thing she wanted to do was go very activist and start dyeing her hair pink.
See, most people, I think, would assume that people who dye their hair pink and are activists have had a microchip implanted in them, not that they've
And I just thought, oh God, here we go.
It's not worth watching this show.
Well, I don't think she even did it right. It looks awful.
It does look a bit like blood, actually.
Yeah, it was like a red streak, pink streak.
No, she can't even dye her hair right.
More like a yellow streak.
But I'm still kind of enjoying it. They did back down a little bit from this, but yeah, I'm still enjoying it. So
I heard they did a Sylvester Stallone on it. Sylvester Stallone, Judge Dredd, obviously on it.
Oh yeah, first episode, helmet straight off. And as we said previously, wouldn't have had a problem with him taking the helmet off as long as we didn't see his face. But anyway, a lot of money been spent on Halo, and it looks great.
Yeah, but if you don't have any
Frustrating.
respect for the material, then it's no.
Yeah.
You can spend all the money you want, but if it's crap, it's crap, isn't it? If you
Yeah,
don't respect the material.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not the worst, but it's been, as I said, it's been booked for the second season. So I think we'll kind of, if it's going to be any good, it'll be second season. We'll find out. But there you go. So that's Halo, everybody. It's going. We knew it was going woke, but it's got the hairstyle to match now. So okay. So shall we move on? Being only me seen it. This was released on HBO Max, literally a month after it was out of the cinema. Anybody seen the Batman? Any thoughts?
I've seen it.
I've seen it.
What do you think?
I really liked it, and then I had time to let it marinate, and it's all right. I mean, it's not like bad, but I don't know. The third act really, it kind of loses me a little bit, and there are some other things in there, like, I don't know about anybody else, but I hate the Riddler costume. It's so stupid.
Yeah.
People try to like explain it to me, and I'm like, yeah, it still looks stupid. It's it looks like a trash bag, just painted green, and yeah.
It looks like Bubbles from the Trailer Park Boys doing his green bastard act.
That's funny. Yeah, and then like and they're doing this whole Nomad's Land thing, and I liked those comic books, but I don't know if that's the way to go in the movies, because they've done it before in like Gotham, and then they tried to do it in that Dark Knight Rises movie, and I don't think those worked very well. So I don't know if this is the right direction, but I don't know. Do you
think it's very confusing having all these different Batmen?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, for normies maybe, but I mean, I read comic books, so I'm all like, I can differentiate which one's which and stuff. I don't know. It just, I don't know.
That was sort of my pre-takeaway on this, was that because we actually have a review of the Batman on our channel, where I've not seen it, but my colleague has seen it. He saw it. He did the review. It was his first, I think, film review, and it got lots of views, but it's definitely sort of divided the audience. The like-dislike ratio is kind of alarming on that one. It's split between people who say, finally, someone else has seen what I saw, and then the other half of people who are saying, you're watching movies wrong. You don't understand Batman. Haha, take the L, you suck. So, I mean, that quality of argument makes it really hard for me to determine, which of them is right. But what I'll probably do, given that it is now out digitally, I might do like a recap. I'll see it myself, and then we'll do like the Batman revisited. My sort of takeaway before having seen it, though, was like, do we actually need another one? We've had a lot of them now. There hasn't been a break from Batman for more than a decade. It's just, do we need another one? That would be my we'll have to get over that sort of that barrier in my mind, I think.
Yeah, I was going to go see this at the cinema, but I just thought, I don't think I can be bothered. I think if it had been what's his face,
Ben Affleck.
Yeah, I would probably go. Yeah, let's go. But do we need another Batman? Ian, what do you think to this?
I saw it, and I thought it was okay at first, but the more I thought about it, the more I thought that they didn't like Batman, the people that created this film. I mean, it's got woke shit in it when you look closely, and also the fact that Batman doesn't really do anything. He's meant to be a great detective, yet he goes in the room and he basically sulks a lot. He doesn't do anything. Like if you watch something like Elementary or even Sherlock on BBC, he goes into the room and shows everybody up. He goes this, and this, and this is this, and everybody doesn't know what's going on. But Batman, he goes into the room and he just mopes around. He doesn't do anything. and also, I hate the way they portray. If anyone was going to be Batman, it was going to be Bruce Wayne. The difference between Bruce Wayne and Batman, there was very little between them both. Also, there were stupid things in it, like him drawing on the floor. Why did he draw on the floor? He could have just drawn a book or something.
Right.
It was just stupid, and there was some stupid moments in there. And Catwoman going, "Oh, you're privileged." Why would she say that? It just came out of nowhere. And also,
I'm just privileged.
The biggest
Yeah, you
giveaway
said that.
is
Bullshit.
the biggest giveaway is the speech that Riddler does to Batman at the ending about him being an orphan and he was up in his tower, and that's white privilege. That came out of nowhere as well. So you know what I mean? So basically this movie is here to
Shite.
trash Batman, and Batman does not even save anyone at the ending. People die at the ending, you know. He doesn't even stop it. Right. So basically, what they've been doing to our heroes recently, they killed off James Bond, they've killed off
They did.
He-Man, and basically what they're doing is they're not going to kill off Batman because he's too, you know, obviously he
Profitable.
was worth quite a lot. But what they're doing is they're actually stripping him of his heroism. That's what they're doing, and that's exactly what they did in this film. He achieved nothing. He didn't even catch the Riddler in this film, and it goes right over normies' heads, but not over mine, because I can see more than I can ever see now. This film basically should have been made by somebody else and with no politics. It would have been so much better. And that's my take on it.
I think we'll end the stream there. How do we follow that? That's why we have him on the channel, boys and girls, because he knows his shit. Well done,
It's
Ian.
ridiculous. When you watch it, you'll see all the stuff that I've been saying. It's
I'm
ridiculous.
kind of
Absolutely
glad
ridiculous.
I didn't waste money to go see it. Brian, any thoughts to add before we move on?
The first thing that jumped out at me was how long it was. It was just far too long. I felt watching, I liked the idea of it focusing more on the kind of detective side of it, but as Ian said, it really wasn't very well done. The film just seemed to go on forever, and it almost felt as if it didn't need to be Batman. It could have been almost anyone. As for the lead actor's portrayal, Patterson, I don't know, they just didn't seem very Bruce Wayne or Batman to me. And Batman tends to be the Bat, the kind of fake Bruce Wayne, and the real Bruce Wayne. And we didn't really see any of that at all.
Yeah.
I just think he was a terrible, terrible choice. Not a bad actor in general, but I don't think it was a great
he's
choice
all
for
right,
this.
Yeah. I liked him in Tenet.
Yeah, and the other thing that was probably unique to me was that it was based in my hometown, so I kept whatever immersion I had kept taking me out of it every 15 minutes.
Also, the fact that Batman looks at the bomb and he doesn't run away from it or anything. He just looks at it straight and it blows up in his face. Right. And they don't even take his mask off, the police cops that hate him. It's absolutely ridiculous. That whole scene is absolutely ridiculous. It just goes to show how, you know, these people who made Batman, they don't like Batman. It's pretty obvious to me that they don't like
JJ's
Batman.
crew, isn't it?
Yeah, they don't like him. They want to tear him down. But very subtly in this film, because they realize that a lot of people are realizing these things. So in this film, they did it subtly. But if you look carefully, that's exactly what they did.
Would you have a problem if they was kind of subtly tearing him down in this, but for the sequel to this, they were building him back up?
I don't think that's what they're doing. I mean, just by going by the evidence of all the films and all the heroes that they've actually cut down with huge knives and politics. This is what they've done to the Batman. It's obvious. And if you look at the Nolan Batman, he triumphs, doesn't he? Even when he's doing things in there, he triumphs. When he was being chased by the police, he basically was on roofs and stuff like that, and he was doing fantastical things. In this one, that chase was just a chase. Nothing, there was no gadgets, there was no, fantastical things. It was just a chase in the rain, and badly shot as well, because there was all kind of big close-ups and shit like that. And then, the more I think about it, the more I don't like this film at all. It's just ridiculously stupid and silly. Anyway, that's my take, I guess.
So it sounds like it's not recommended. Okay, then. Well,
one little bit of trivia if you're interested.
Oh yeah, trivia always, mate.
John Turturro played Carmine Falcone, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he also Carmine Falcone. John Turturro also was in Live and Die in L.A., right?
Yes, it was.
His character name was changed into Live and Die in L.A., but in the book, the character's name that he plays is Carmine Falcone.
Top trivia, boys and girls. Top trivia. Okay, so we'll move on. I'm kind of glad I didn't go to see it now, even though I had nothing to do that afternoon. But there you go. So, Was this episode 3? I think it was.
It was.
Moon Knight. This is where the people who have seen this was expecting the hammer to come down. Who's seen it first of all? This episode?
I saw it.
Yep.
I think you just volunteered, Matt. Do you want to give us your thoughts?
Oh, it was trash. It was pure trash. I didn't like it at all. It was boring. Okay, so Layla, his wife, and him, he's talking about like their wedding or whatnot, but I don't know about any of you that have seen it, but I do not believe that these two were ever remotely in love. The chemistry between these two actors is like there is none, because I was like, they're not in love and everything. I'm not buying it. And then the CGI is still not very good. He's got bullets bouncing off of him, but then he gets stabbed with a spear, and I'm all like, what's the difference? I'm like, it's so ridiculous. And then I don't know, it was just bad. It was bad. I'm trying to remember all of the things I didn't like about it, but I just remember go ahead.
I was gonna say, have we had the bait and switch yet?
Not yet, but it's got to be coming soon. It's got to.
Are you going to be watching it next week?
Yeah, of course. I have to finish it out because I cover it on my channel, but people don't like that. But
Matty, do you want to? Brian, could you organise Matty's link for his channel?
Yeah, sure.
I don't think I've made Matt. Or Matt, are you a moderator for this channel? I don't know if I made you a mod. I probably have.
You know what? I don't know. I don't think so. I can't see anything special.
Right, okay. Brian, could you organise Matty's link for his channel?
Sorry.
Could you organise?
Yeah, sure. What is the name of the channel?
It's called Geek What?
Right, okay, sorry.
I can add a...
I would say I probably have made you a mod, Matt. We'll check after. Okay, so who would like to go next? Brian, you've seen this, haven't you?
Yes, I'm trying to put a link. I can't multitask, bro.
No, you do. I'll find the link. I'll do it. It's cool. It's cool.
Yeah,
you do you.
No worries. My interest in the MCU has been declining, I think, since the days of Age of Ultron. Yeah, and after watching WandaVision, Loki, and the Falcon, it took a big effort to even sit down and watch this show. Having said that, it's been, with lowered standards, it's been reasonable. It's not fabulous, but it's kind of okay. I think some of the dialogue is quite fun, if a bit repetitive. I think Stephen Grant character's pretty sympathetic. I thought Isaac's accent was going to be a nightmare, but it hasn't really detracted from it. But I think Matt hit the nail on the head when he said that the chemistry between Layla and it's just deplorable. She is an absolute plank of wood. She makes Daisy Ridley look like Elizabeth Taylor by comparison. So I'll keep watching it. It's decent enough to watch it. I think Ethan Hawke's been pretty good, but it's not. I'm not desperate to see it.
I would say I stopped. I got halfway through the episode, and I just thought, I've had enough of this shit. I think he was on the roof getting beaten up, and then they were trying to belittle him by saying, "You've got problems. You're a white male with problems." And I just thought, off, and that was it.
I must have missed that line.
Yeah. Well, and also, can I just say, Mohammed Diab, he gave so many people shit for not hiring Egyptian actors and not shooting in Egypt. And I'm all like, there's no way that this was shot in Egypt. This looks like a green screen. And if it is shot in Egypt, then Egypt looks like it's on a green screen, because this looks like crap. And then I'm all like, none of these people are Egyptian except for Layla, the actress Layla, and maybe all the extras. I'm all like, so maybe he needs to get off his little high horse here for a hot second and maybe take his own advice. Because I was like, because I even looked it up. I was like, none of these people are Egyptian. So why is he giving Black Adam shit for not hiring Egyptian actors? I'm like, get out of here with your nonsense.
Is there 3 more episodes to go?
Yes. A small piece of me is like hoping that they'll turn it around, but I don't think. Oh, and another thing. All the Egyptian gods that are inside the Pyramid of Giza, I was like, oh, well, they didn't put in the money to show like the actual gods. They're all like having avatars, and then their eyes glow blue every now and then. And I'm all
they're
like,
there in the suits as well, and it's like, ugh.
That was really cheap.
yeah, I'm
Yeah.
like, why don't you guys like, I don't know, spend a little bit more money on some visual effects? Because I would have liked to have seen that. And I was like, and none of those people were Egyptian either. I was like, this is ridiculous. I was like, ugh. I was like, all right, well, I guess so, whatever.
On the plus side, there is a plus side. Jonathan Frost in the chat. Hello, Jonathan. The only thing about Moon Knight that's good is Ethan Hawke's performance.
I would agree with that. I love Ethan Hawke. I don't care if he cheated on Uma Thurman.
I was just about to say that. Thank you. Oscar Isaacs.
Yeah,
he is a good actor.
He's good too. I do enjoy him. And,
He is a
and
good
I love
actor.
the accent because hello, governor. I love it. Because I
That's
don't
how
know
Ian speaks.
Yeah, I don't know the difference.
So, Ian, you've had the good fortune of not seeing this.
I saw the first episode. That was enough for me. I just thought it was just bad. Look. Anytime I smell woke, I'm out of there. Like the first beginning where that white, fat, blonde woman was telling him off. I thought, nah, none of this. And then I fell asleep halfway through it, and then didn't have the impetus to
It
go
gets
back.
worse, mate. It gets worse.
Yeah, I can't be arsed with this stuff anymore. Disney's got an agenda, and it doesn't fit into my agenda, so they can go and screw themselves.
They, as we will find out later, they listened to the wrong people, didn't they?
For sure.
They always do.
Romeo, Tango, November, Zulu. Cairo is an amazing place. If they had filmed it there, it would have enhanced the atmosphere. Agree that Ethan Hawke is the best thing about Moon Knight.
Yeah, I'm the whole time watching. I was like, "There's no way this is on location." I was like, "There's no way," and the Pyramid of Giza doesn't look like that on the inside. I was like when they go in there, he's like, "This is the Pyramid of Giza," and I'm all like, "No, it's not. It's not because it doesn't look like that."
Pyramid of Giza.
Yeah, they'll probably be using the the virtual set that Mandalorian uses. Probably.
Yeah.
Right on.
The kind of stagecraft thing, the big LCD curtains.
They've got plenty of sand lying about, judging by the last 3 shows they've put out.
Okay, so we've not had the proper bait and switch, but is it going to come, do you think?
I think so. I don't even think that Oscar Isaacs, I keep reading stuff. I don't think he's doing any more Marvel stuff. So I'm all like, well, if he's not doing it, then they're probably giving it to Layla. And I was like, which is annoying, but whatever.
Okay, so if you think that was bad, who would like to go first?
I don't know why I'm on here. I don't watch this crap. I don't watch anything you've put up so far apart from the Batman.
Yeah, this episode was bad too. They could have. I'm telling you right now, this whole season could have been 1, 2 episodes, 3 max, because last episode, this episode, it could have been wrapped up in 5 minutes. Nothing happened of substance, and it was just pure. It was just shit. It was pure shit. Like the whole time I was like, why am I watching this? I was like, it's so annoying. And there's a line in there because they always Star Trek always repurposes stuff and everything, which I'm like, okay, I get it because they do it in a fun way every time. But this show will copy lines. Like for instance, in this one, the doctor, I don't remember her name, but she asks Rio, she's like, what are you from space? And he's like, no, I'm from Chile, but I work in space. And I'm like,
oh yeah,
that's from Star Trek 4. But he says like, I'm from Iowa or whatnot. And I'm all like, if you're just going to copy lines from movies, which is what Kurtzman does, they just rehash everything. But I'm just like, what's the point? I was like, you guys just aren't. What happened to talented writers? Like, can't you guys hire people from like Brown or something? I don't know. It's just bad. It's just bad all the way around.
Somebody suggest. I think it was Justin, the Orville guy. I forget what his Twitter handle is. He specializes in the Orville. I saw a tweet of his. He's thinking that next season is going to be the Star Trek: The Next Generation finale, where they kind of time travel between 3 zones. there was the young, there was the present day Picard, the old Picard, and the past Picard. You know, the one with Q, the season finale.
Right.
But
He's
this isn't
kind of-
Picard. Picard died.
Yeah.
So it doesn't make any sense. None of it makes any sense. Look, to watch this stuff, you're supporting bad writing and bad organization and just bad all over. So why would you watch this stuff? I still don't understand when fans watch this and they complain about it. You've only got yourselves to blame if you want to put yourself through this shit. You know, the logical thing is not to support this stuff because these people destroyed, and I'll say this again for the cheap seats, destroyed Star Trek. Why would you support or watch this stuff? In other words, you're not real fans if you watch this stuff. Don't talk to me about Star Trek if you're watching Picard. That's all I can say, you know. Have to be harsh here. So there you go.
Yes.
Sometimes people need harsh. I personally watch it because I need the content. I mean,
right. Well, that's different, I guess.
And plus, I don't know. It's fun to shit on stuff when it's bad.
I think honestly, about 3/4 of the viewer base for this show are YouTubers who need it for the content, and that's where we are as well.
For sure.
But even now, like, it would require some hyper advanced 25th century microscope to locate the solitary fuck I might want to give it about this show,
Right?
Because I've lost it and it's out in space somewhere, and I don't know where it is. It's work to sit down. I mean, it literally is work because I have to do it for YouTube, but it actually feels like work to sit down to watch Picard. There's no enjoyment at all, and even at this point, it's getting to the point where it's not even that fun to shit on it. It's just a trial, and they so obviously don't care anymore. There's no need to tell the story they're telling in this series. You can tell how much they care about it by the fact they released the trailer for the next season midway through this one. There's no point to it. It's literally there to have the occasional pot shot at ICE or the American political system or immigration policy. You don't watch Star Trek for this kind of stuff. I mean, people in chat have been saying it's not Star Trek, it's Shy Trek. They are, and Ian said the same thing. They're right. I mean, it's not. If you're watching this expecting to see Star Trek, you are watching the wrong thing. You probably should be watching The Orville instead.
45 days until that's out. Romeo Tango November Zulu series finale of TNG, All Good Things, one of the best ever series endings. Saw it in '94, just wonderful. I don't watch Picard or Disco. I think they're gonna shit on that next year, mate.
Yeah, there was a theory that was the reason for the burn into Star Trek Discovery season 3. I don't remember all of it, but they said that was the reason for the burn, which would have been a way better reason than what we got.
That was the adolescent Kelpian, wasn't it?
Yeah,
the space autist in a nebula.
Even though I've not watched it.
Yeah, he just screams and he destroys the universe.
He has feelings, therefore things happen. That's how Discovery works.
But that's what I'm saying, right? Because you know, we could all have a laugh about this, right? But the thing is, though, as I keep saying on every stream, this Star Trek is beloved by billions of people around the world.
Yep.
And I think it's a personal insult to every fan out there that they're doing this. And that's the thing. And I don't understand. Fans moan and groan, but yet they're still supporting this shit. And it's just, I just think that I personally, in an ideal world, think that everybody should just not watch it. You know, true fans should just not watch it. And that will basically tell them that they shouldn't be making this shit, because it doesn't make any sense. The real Picard died in the first season. So who is this? Who is this Picard? Is it a robot? Is it simulation? Is it is he been rebuilt, you know, as something else? Is he a clone? And how comes Q recognizes this version of Picard, which is not the real version of Picard?
Yeah, you could just click his fingers and put him back.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't. None of it makes any sense.
And there's so much you can do. These are all really interesting questions, and this is what Star Trek would once have explored, because they are really good questions to be asking about it. This is the one show you would expect, if it were still true Star Trek, this is the one show that could actually deal with these kinds of questions. But it doesn't. It doesn't care. We're asking these questions because it isn't, which is not the way Star Trek is supposed to work. It's supposed to ask us questions we didn't even necessarily think to ask ourselves.
But now, you know, yeah, sorry. You know, when Harvey Weinstein got accused of what he got accused. No, seriously, he got accused of what he got accused, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you look at him now, you see him and you think he does look like someone who could do all that stuff. His physical presence looks like someone that could do that stuff. Just like when you see Dharma and all them, and you look at them, you think, yeah, that guy's a serial killer. You can see it in his face. And then when you look at Kurtzman and all them, you look at Kurtzman and you think,
Careful.
I can see where this is going.
that
Careful.
guy looks like someone who has no idea about anything. He just looks like someone that's there
All right.
because he has money, and that's what I'm saying. I just don't understand why this show is still going.
Question. Well, Cruel. Hello, Cruel. Is asking the question. Is a replicant.
Then Q would have known he's a replicant and wouldn't have bothered him, because Q is fascinated by Picard, the real Picard.
Yeah.
So it doesn't make any sense. Q is very, he's like a god. He's an infinite god, isn't he?
Omnipotent,
And also,
yes.
why would he be old?
Yeah.
He started.
would you be old?
He started young, and then he clicked his finger to match Knobhead's appearance.
Nah, what a load of shit.
It's an ongoing theme as well, which is that like neither Picard nor Discovery actually bothers to keep track of what they themselves establish in their own internal lore in previous seasons. So Picard is struggling in these regards because it's trying to move on and forget about what it did in season 1 as much as it possibly can. But season 1 objectively left open questions which do have an impact on plot and on writing. And if you don't address those questions, there's a huge plot hole in your season. And the fact that it's not trying to address these questions means there is a huge plot hole in this season. Discovery is exactly the same thing. The number of ideas it introduces in season 1 and 2, which have just been they've not been countered, they've not been answered for, they've just been forgotten by season 3. Because they're not interested in building a world that actually makes sense. They are literally doing it as an opportunity to spend other people's money on their own social justice activism. And it makes for bad writing, bad shows, things that you probably shouldn't bother watching. The one sort of salutary thing about it is that A, it gets us subscribers because we get to keep shitting on it, and B, we've had people in the comment sections coming and saying, I'm glad you've done this review because this means I don't have to go and watch it, which is good. I will take that as a sign that I'm doing some social good. If I can prevent 4 people from watching it who otherwise might have gone to see for themselves, then maybe I'm actually taking money away from them after all, which now I've said that, they're going to strike the fuck out of my videos, but hopefully not.
You're not taking any money away from them. You're not taking anything away from them, right? They don't care about how many people is watching.
No,
all
they
care
don't.
about
Subscribers.
Subscribers. That's what it's all about. And as I said, if you don't subscribe, you take the power away from them. And I don't understand why a lot of people are not subscribing. Why are they subscribing?
I wasn't actually. Sorry, there was the closing message in not the last Discovery video we did, the one before. The closing message of that was literally that if you actually do care about Star Trek, it's almost a moral imperative to you to cancel your subscription. And it's not enough to look at Paramount Plus and say, well, okay, I came for Star Trek and that's shit, but there's some other things on it that I kind of like, so maybe I'll stick around for those things.
Yeah,
that's exactly why. That's how they get you. And actually, it depends how much you're willing to sacrifice for these shows that you profess to care a lot about. There is no way that this will change if you use that reasoning, because that reasoning is what they are relying on you to use. Right. It doesn't matter if they produce an individually good show, as long as they can hook you on something else once you're in. If you want to change this, you have to cancel that subscription. There are ways to watch things without subscribing, without giving them money or ad revenue. Not that we will from Captain Jack Sparrow or anything like that.
Jim Lad.
But it's you will actually eventually you are gonna. I think this will happen one day anyway. The streaming service economy is just unsustainable. It is a pyramid scheme. You can't keep subsisting on. This will make sense as long as more and more people subscribe, because they will run out of people to do it, and they will start losing people, and it will collapse. But they will take an awful lot of shit with them in the meantime. And the only way to stop that is to cancel your subscriptions before it all happens, and hopefully they'll take a lesson from it.
Cruel doesn't have any subscription streaming service at all. Romeo, I'll agree with it. Q is a gift to writers. Having him restore Picard to his original state is easy. The most compelling reason to have him in the show. We all thought that he'd be coming back to do that, but they've just subverted us again. That's how talentless Picard's writers are. Apparently, this show is basically Stewart playing Stewart.
Yeah,
and he's very old as well, isn't he? And he doesn't look like he's he's just old. Why would you make a show where this guy can hardly walk? or speak. You know,
Teach
it's
us how
ridiculous.
to live our lives. That's how.
Ah, dear, just it's ridiculous. Isn't
I
it?
will say before we move on, I think Lord Cord's channel is quickly becoming the premier Star Trek Discovery Picard channel on YouTube.
Absolutely.
That's very kind, considering I hate those two shows and don't know I don't know as much about Star Trek as most of our subscribers do. But as long as we can produce stuff people like, then we're doing a job.
Premier channel, my friend. Okay, we'll move on. We're all agreed it's shit. As I said last week, we all know we're going to be watching next season. So let's just get it over with. Anybody watching Tokyo Vice
No.
Yeah.
Nope.
Kind of.
this week's episode? Anybody?
I think Brian said yes.
I said yes to actually watching the program. I haven't actually seen this week's as yet. A bit of catching up to do.
Okay, this is on HBO Max. We recommended it last week. I've 2 more episodes have dropped. As I said, it's about the rival kind of Tokyo mafia gangs. You know, the Kuzo or I forget the names. Set at the turn of 1999, 2000.
Yeah.
Michael Mann is behind this. You know, the guy who did Miami Vice. It's really well written. As I said last week, it's an American guy who wanted to be a journalist in Japan. Basically, is obsessed about Japan. His father was a journalist, an investigative journalist in the States, and he wanted to do what his father did, but in Japan because he was really into it. And he's building up a relationship with the Ken Watanabe character, who's a aged police detective in Tokyo. There's lots of kind of dodgy dealings going on, you know, kind of like it's kind of like Goodfellas or The Godfather, but in Tokyo. I'm genuinely enjoying it. As I said, 2 more episodes dropped this week. It's worth you checking it out, Brian.
The BBC have actually picked this up, so it's going to be on television in the UK just shortly, maybe within the next couple of months. Wow. I've watched maybe almost 2 episodes so far, but I'm hooked on it already. I think it's been pretty intriguing from the start. It's well acted. It's got a good script. It's got a fitting score. It's refreshingly free of woke crap. So
I'm
it's
surprised
for that
BBC
alone, I
brought
think.
it then.
Yeah, I think for that alone, most people will start to.
I think a lot of the money behind this is Ken Watanabe is an exec, and I think it's his family who are writers, directors. It seems to me like it's like kind of a personal project for him.
Right.
There is no woke at all, thank fuck.
I do like a little adaptation of real life events, so I'm going to be biased, but I think it's a very strong start. I'm quite interested to see where it's going.
It's a general source of hope as well. I mean, so most things coming out of Japan has been refreshingly immune to a lot of the social justice movement type nonsense that comes out of America. In fact, you can find them mocking it. Even their news anchors mock the latest American fad that comes out. And was it one of the directors of From Software, the company behind Elden Ring? I think it was a director from FromSoft came out and said, look, if we tried to make Japanese games more like Western European games, they wouldn't be as successful. Like, yeah, you're absolutely right. And good on you for saying it. They recognize what most people, companies in this country, I think we'll come on to Disney a bit later on this theme, yes, but which they are slowly, well, they will eventually have to recognize, which is that if you go woke, you do go broke. So all credit to you. And it's why, you know, and it's not just Japan. I mean, South Korea has equivalent. You've got shows like Squid Game, Parasite has got good reviews as well. So you're getting quite a lot of good Asian drama coming, which is good precisely because it is immune to a lot of the stuff that's completely wrecking Western products at the moment.
I think I said at some point last year when everybody was going on about Squid Game, I kind of get the feeling I could see American actors going over to South Korea and Japan to star in some shows to give these shows credibility, and they would be probably refreshingly free of woke. Just purely there to entertain us, but that's just me. I think that's a possibility.
Trouble is, you've got so many actors and actresses who are interested in this woke thing and are going to actively seek out woke productions rather than just for the love of filmmaking. Decent storytelling, but
I think Chris Pratt would be one of the first to go over.
yes, really learning Korean as we speak.
So as I said, guys, check it out. If it's on the BBC, I know the UK release date is about 4 weeks' time. I think it's May 15th. I thought it would have been on Sky, but if you said it's on BBC, there you go. It genuinely is really, really good, and I recommend it to all of you.
Before you move on, there is a recommendation in chat which I want to second from Romeo Tango N-word Zeta. He recommends Black Sails, which apparently I did not know it had just come on Netflix. So yeah, I think Black Sails is brilliant. I actually binge watched that several times over while writing the book that I was writing last year, which is, it's not pirates on the high seas, but the premise of the book is that there is no water left in this particular part of the world, but it's sort of pirate inspired. Black Sails is a really interesting series. He's right, it is one of the best pirate series, if not the best pirate series ever. It does realism really well. It actually does care about its source material. It's basically a prequel to Treasure Island, which is where the Treasure Island references come in. It follows Captain Flint, who's only ever mentioned in Robert Stevenson's novel. It's quite gritty. It's quite dark. The first season, it does the Game of Thrones thing in that there's a little bit too much sex position in it. There's a bit too much sort of tits for no other reason. But A, the tits are okay, and B, from then on, it's a really
Ian became interested at that point.
but the rest of it's like season 2 I think there's 4 seasons or 5. I think it's 4. From then on, though, once they get over the sex position stuff and actually just fall in love with their source material, it is a genuinely brilliant series. You've got all of the big sort of characters in that genre. You know, Blackbeard is in it. You've got Captain Flint, of course, is the main character in it. He's played by what's his name? He's actually Lost in Space is the big thing he's in at the moment. Ginger guy, fucking can't remember his name. He's doing a lot of stuff.
Yeah, his mother was in Harry Potter.
Yeah,
Bond villain.
He's a Bond villain as well. Yeah, he's the villain in
Toby something or other.
Toby Stevens.
Yes, Stevens. Yes,
and he plays that role really well. It's very gritty. There's no woke stuff in it at all. There is actually in the last series, it is implied that he has this relationship with another guy, a British noble man. So there's a sort of the gay subtext toward the end of season 4, but they do it really well. It's not just diversity, it's not representation. It's actually this actually works really well from a story point of view. They don't over egg it. It's quite gently, subtly, and emotionally done. Right. So if that's on Netflix now, I wholeheartedly recommend.
So what you're saying is, Ryan.
It's actually on Amazon UK.
Yeah, I know. I don't know if it's
Netflix.
Yeah, it comes often on Amazon. That's where I first saw it. If it's back on Amazon, then so much the better, because it is. No, it's a good series. It's worth sticking with. Even it takes a while to get going, but it is worth sticking with it.
I was going to say, so to watch it, we would have to sail the 7 seas to watch it, and it's a pirate show. I'm here all week. Okay, right. So moving on then, Tokyo Vice. Go see it, boys. Really good. Right, let's get into the silly stuff. This is the big news. This is where Ian leaves. We'll quickly just mention this. Big Brother set to return to the UK next year, and Rylan is...
Well, it's Channel 5, isn't it? It's Channel 5, so it's not...
No, it's gone to ITV. So it used to be on Channel 5. It was on Channel... It died on Channel 5. Channel 5 is the network where TV shows go to die. And now apparently ITV has picked it up from Channel 5. So I reckon they're going to actually pump a lot of money into it. And we're going to have to sit through weekly discussions of it like we did back in the early 2000s. And it's going to be hell.
If it's on at the same time as Ant and Dec, I'll be delighted. Never need to watch listen to those pricks again.
Can we not put them in the house and then nuke it?
Oh, that'd be fantastic.
There you go, Cruel, and then the stream died. It did, mate.
Stream
Thing is,
killer.
though, that they're doing the TV network channels are in trouble because they realise they're no competition compared to YouTube and Fortnite and all that stuff that's
Right.
happening. They're losing the commercials are not really working for them money wise, so they're on a desperate scramble to get anything. So they think if they return, Big Brother to ITV to a major network, they think that people are going to watch. But I guarantee you that people are going to watch, but not a lot of people, not a lot as they think that people are going to be watching. Do you know what I mean? So I think they're wasting their time here, personally.
Do you think it's a possibility? Because obviously the BBC, which is funded by the taxpayer, and ITV is obviously is a business funded by commercials. BBC is going to lose its license, and they're no competition against the big boys, are they? The streaming services. Do you think the ITV and BBC could possibly merge?
No, I don't think so. I think the BBC is gonna. I hope the BBC loses out, but I don't think they are gonna somehow. I think the government's gonna save them. I reckon. I don't know. Something's gonna happen, and the BBC is still gonna be there because the BBC is kind of like, it's very British, and to lose it's gonna be like losing the Queen or something. Do you know what I mean? So I reckon something's gonna happen, and the BBC is gonna maintain its foothold on TV. I don't know how, but it probably will. But
even if they take the license fee away, that's not the same thing as saying that they're going to sell it off to corporate ownership. So obviously we had Channel 4's privatization, which made the news a couple of weeks ago, and Channel 4 was government owned, but nevertheless commercially funded. Then you had this weird combination of reactions, people who are saying it's our, why are they selling off something that's ours, and also corporate overlords. It's like, okay, but it's already funded by corporations, so what's your complaint here? Also, they were like, the government just wants more media on its side. Okay, so why is the government selling the channel it owns? What the fuck are you talking about? But they could get rid of the license fee for the BBC, but maintain it in public ownership. The argument for complete privatization of Channel 4 is the same as the argument for complete privatization of the BBC, which is that under government ownership, these are neither of them allowed to borrow money to invest in content in the manner that Netflix does, for example. So the argument for setting off Channel 4 is that will enable Channel 4 to actually borrow money to invest in content and therefore boost its own commercial revenues by so doing. With the BBC, it's one thing to get rid of the license fee. You would also have to get rid of it completely from public ownership in order to enable any kind of merger speculatively between the owners of ITV and the BBC. Then you'd also get the Competition and Markets Authority, which exists to stop the creation of monopolies, hates any idea that any media company should be owned by more than 25% by the same owner. If you got a merger between those two major channels, you can guarantee the CMA would step in. They didn't like the idea that Sky would be bought out by who bought Sky out recently?
Fox.
Yeah. They tried
Disney,
to put many
effectively.
spanners in that work, and I just can't see it happening. And also, there's a lot of support for the BBC still in the country. I fuck knows why, because it's an abysmal channel. But people are still emotionally, they're still emotionally attached to the brand though, and the history of the thing more than necessarily the content it produces. So whilst you might get some public support for decriminalizing non-payment of license fee, I don't think you would ever get a majority behind selling it off completely, and much less selling it off to be bought out by some other corporation that, for example, owns ITV.
I would say 10, 15 years ago, I don't think would have ever been in this position. People would have moaned about the license, but deep down, they loved the BBC, and then it just imploded on itself.
I think I agree with
it.
you. They're not going to get rid of the BBC. I don't think so. It's yeah. Not much more you can say about the BBC. Yeah, not much more.
Moving on. Okay, Rylan. There you go.
I don't even know who that is. Who is it?
It's Rylan.
Who is Rylan?
Rylan. He was a contestant in the original Big Brother. Who was a bit of a drama queen, and I quite like or liked Rylan, but apparently he split up with his partner last year, and if any of us split up with our girlfriend, boyfriend, partner, or whatever, we'd just have to get on with it. He worked for Radio 1, which is a radio station in the UK.
I like him less and less every time.
And he had to have a month off, traumatized, splitting with his partner, and have counselling. Moving on.
I would have a month off and go to the Bahamas if I split up with my beloved.
Or Brazil. Okay, so
Or Thailand.
Then to Brazil, yes. Okay, so this is the kind of big social media news this week, isn't it? The second coming of Elon Musk, the Messiah, the Pied Piper, offered to buy Twitter, lock, stock, and barrel. Cash.
His name sounds like a perfume, doesn't it? Elon Musk.
Yeah, very a manly perfume. Yes. Ian, I know you're a big fan of Twitter. Any thoughts?
I hate Twitter. I only put stupid things up and advertise my wares on Twitter. I don't get involved with Twitter at all. Do you know what? If this guy takes over, everything I've heard about this fella and everything I've seen about this fella, he seems like a decent chap. He doesn't seem like someone that wants to cause any harm in the world, but you never know with these things. So if he takes over and makes that platform better, then all power to him. That's all I can say. But you never know, as I said. So we'll see.
Matt Katz, any thoughts?
I don't have any problems with him buying Twitter. I think that if he's got the money and they want to sell it to him, I say let him have it. So
I think the problem is they don't want to sell it.
They don't want to sell it. And people are freaking out like nobody's business. I'm like,
all these little lefty types. Yes.
Yeah, it's insane. Like no matter how much whining you do, if they end up selling it to them, if they do, your whining isn't going to stop. And then like, well, I'm going to leave Twitter, and it's like, okay, good, bye, Felicia. Nobody wanted you here anyways. So I just I don't know. I hate Twitter too. Twitter is like, people talk about toxic environments. Twitter is the most toxic environment. You can't say anything. You can't even be like, your eyes look so blue. They'll be like, don't misgender my eyes. And you're like, what are you talking about? I don't know. It's so crazy. It's a crazy environment. I don't like it.
Brian, what's the Star Wars quote about? You will never meet a more wretched something or other.
Hive of scum and
never find a more wretched hive of scum and
villainy. Yeah.
Must be censored.
Brian, I know that you're a very, very big fan of Twitter. Any thoughts?
I generally try to ignore Twitter, but I see all these daft things, usually about the Last Jedi, talking about how it's a masterpiece.
Oh, no.
And if I'm in a good mood, I go,
you mentioned it.
I'm not interested. I'll have to do it every stream, at least once a stream, otherwise I've failed in my mission.
I think Bill, sorry, go ahead. Sorry.
I try to ignore it for the most part, but if I'm in a bit of a downer, I see it, I go, fuck it, I'm having that guy. But I think the idea of Elon Musk taking over, I don't like the idea of one individual having such a big say. However, double standards time, I think if he took it over, it'd be a vastly better experience.
Yeah. Ian, you was going to say?
No, I remembered a joke that Bill Burr said. He said that he wants to, if you're going to upset someone, you want to upset everyone. So if he did an example, like if he, he put a tweet saying that he didn't like Trump, but he would, a woman president is better than Trump, and then he got everybody obviously screaming at him and stuff like that. He says that's basically what you do if you want to cause trouble. You say something as stupid as that, and it is true that people say stupid things. I don't understand. Right? Is all of this caused by people who think that what they think is a reality? Like if they are them, they, whatever, then that should be a reality. I'm totally confused on how all this started. I really am, because as far as I'm concerned, there was gay, and then there was lesbians, and for me, that's where it
My
stopped.
favourite, yes.
That's where it stopped for me. So I'm confused on everything that's happened. Like them,
There's
I
bi
don't
people too. Some of us
understand
aren't
it.
even that picky.
Leah Thomas.
I don't understand. I'm confused.
I don't think these people are half the problem. It seems to be all the activists. Obviously, there's going to be a bit of overlap. It's the activists that just waste this whole thing, and they don't seem to just want this uber left-wing echo chamber. And the fact that this is possibly being threatened, and the fact that they've demonized the right or even the centrists so much, they're freaking out big time. And I have to say, it is hilarious to watch.
Yeah, the picture in the middle is from Data Racer, who's the premier kind of collector of the Twitter bad tweets.
Yeah, he's great.
And this is just all stuff directed at Elon Musk. Do
people believe in that though? Do people believe
Yes.
that there should be a them, they, and then the stuff in between, which I can't remember what the stuff is in between, stuff like is that all? Is that? I mean, obviously, Lord and you're gay, sir. I just want to know your opinion on all of this stuff. I just find it puzzling. I don't even understand it personally.
Well, I'm massively into the pronouns me and you. Okay.
I don't. Can somebody explain to me what it means?
We'll just get into that. Right. Everybody watching this, now would be the time to go and make a cup of tea.
No, just make it brief. So was it explain it for dummies? I'm a dummy, so explain it to me. I don't understand.
The premier person to teach us about all this shit
is what?
Was Lord Cord, isn't it? Lord Cord. I'm enabling you. The floor is yours.
You're enabling me. Okay, well, the short form version, as I can do it, to answer that question, do people actually believe in this stuff? Is yes. A lot of them genuinely do. It comes from, well, funnily, you can actually trace it all the way back to like sort of French social theorists in the 1960s, but it's mostly American campus culture, which is then inculcated in virtually everyone's minds and created a whole generation of people who have two things going for them: really passionate belief in anything that's fashionable, but also a belief system which precludes challenge and that can't survive challenge. So what you've got is people coming out and saying wild stuff like, not only are there more than two genders, but there are several hundred genders, and if you think you're a dragon, you are one. But then to back that up, what they've then erected is this frame of mind which says that words are violence, literally violence. So what they can do, and what Twitter has very effectively enabled them to do, is to say, I say this incredibly dumb fuck thing. You cannot criticize me, because if you do that, you're being violent against me, and violence is a contradiction to Twitter's terms of service, so you will be banned. Which is how you get the state of affairs where Twitter does not allow people to go on and say, there's only a man and woman. There's nothing else. You can be a man, you can be a woman. There is no third gender. There's no two-spirit. There's no 500 different proliferations of various kind of Tumblr sexuality. You can be gay, you can be straight, you can be a man, you can be a woman. Doesn't have a problem with any of that, but you can't go further than that. Say that on Twitter, there is a good chance that you're going to be banned. I've said it on this stream. You could theoretically get taken down for saying something like that. So they do believe it, but their belief subsists on them creating this framework in which they are not allowed to be challenged. And that's what Elon Musk is threatening. He's coming in and saying, I want Twitter to be a free speech platform. People are allowed to say what they think. You cannot be shielded from criticism by Twitter's terms of service. The free exchange of ideas is the only way we come to the right conclusion. And that's what you're getting, if you put those on screen, some of the hysterical reactions. There's a guy on there who literally said, being on Twitter today feels like being in a Berlin nightclub at the end of the twilight of Weimar Germany. In other words, the cusp of the Second World War. He thinks Hitler will follow from free speech. Hitler was famously really big on free speech. Absolutely, he was. There's an orchestrated campaign from journalists at the Washington Post against the idea that a billionaire should be allowed to be in charge of freedom of speech. Who owns the Washington Post? Jeff Bezos. Like, what the fuck are you talking about, people? the level of hypocrisy can only be sustained because Twitter does not allow you to challenge that hypocrisy. And as soon as you get someone like Elon Musk, if he's successful coming in and actually achieving the change he wants, this stuff will explode. And these people will be forced to come to terms with the fact that they believe stuff that they cannot justify, and they deserve to be ridiculed for it. And hopefully,
Is
if
that
he's
why he's
successful,
doing it, do you
he'll
think?
be able to. No, I think he genuinely believes in it. There's no evidence that he doesn't. People have advanced as account. Like, there've been a number of attempted hit pieces on his character, and the extent of their arguments are like, okay, well, Tesla will sack you if you try and leak their corporate secrets to the internet. Therefore, Elon Musk doesn't believe in free speech. No, that's not what free speech is, you utter moron. State secrets, corporate secrets do not fall under the same purview. He sacked someone, or Tesla sacked someone who was critical of its own company. Elon Musk isn't in charge of hiring and firing at Tesla. The number of spurious arguments, it's just panic from these people, because I think deep down that they do actually know they can't substantiate their views. Their views only exist where there is an echo chamber they exist because everyone else says that that's true. And the moment someone breaks that echo chamber, breaks that bubble, the bubble bursts and it all falls apart, which is why you're getting this kind of hysterical reaction, because people are fundamentally afraid that their worldview will be challenged. They've been incredibly comfortable and now they're fucked.
Can I ask a question? So for instance, so you say there's these people think or believe there's loads of genders, okay? And so, say for instance, this person thinks he's an elephant, right? Then
Dumbo.
he doesn't need logical or facts to back that up. If he believes it, therefore
Not at Disney,
it is
does
so. It is so. So is that what you're saying?
Yep.
So that doesn't make any sense. How
Nope.
could not people? So okay. So why do people believe that then? If you're 16, you can't believe that you're 102 if that's not a fact.
Indoctrination.
Indoctrination is the answer. But this is why you actually do get these cases which push the boundaries so much that they're actually shut up by their own side, because they're testing the proposition to such an extreme that it ridicules the rest of it, which is why it's okay to be transgender, even if you don't believe in only two genders. But if you say you're transracial, well, people are a little bit uncomfortable with that, even people on that fringe of the left, because some of them actually believe that it's possible to be so, but they also understand it's politically damaging for someone like, I don't know, Elizabeth Warren, or the famous case of Rachel Dolezal, who advocated herself as the first black studies professor, the first black person to be black studies professor at university. Turns out she's white, and she was just claiming to be black because, well, you get affirmative action perks.
Yeah.
There's a British guy who thinks that he's trans-Korean, and has had plastic surgery to make himself look more Korean.
What a twat.
This kind of stuff, it poses a threat to it, because ultimately there's no check principle on these people. They can go and be as absurd as they want to be, but the more absurd they get, the greater the risk the whole edifice comes down, because everyone else can look at that and say, this is obviously absurd, and if this bit's absurd, maybe some of the other stuff they're saying is also batshit mental, which is why they're really, really concerned about policing their own side. Like, most of the people who are cancelled are people who are also on the left, who just go the wrong way. There's no more vitriolic Twitter response to someone who's transgressed the new religion of social justice from the left. They grovel in these apologetic tweets, and the other people pile in on them, not because they actually disagree with them, but because they realize the damage this can do to their own side.
Okay, so let me get this straight, right? So it's people that believe in something that doesn't really exist, but they want the world to believe what they believe.
Yeah.
Did I get it right?
Yeah, there's an old 1960s slogan, which is make your dreams your reality. So in other words, if you believe it, if you can dream it, it can be true if you believe it hard enough.
Okay, so even though the facts go beyond what they believe, we all have to fall in line to what they believe. So if somebody says they're a they, and there's no facts to back that up to what they believe, then we still have to fall in line.
You do, because facts are racist. This is why you get so many think pieces in major newspapers saying science has a white supremacy problem, or science has a sexism problem, or science has there's too few black people in science. Science is a white construct. Actually, you're actually seeing this taught in some American schools as well, which is that science is fundamentally a white supremacist colonialist construct Maths as well. Maths is also a white supremacist colonialist construct. And you have to find alternative ways of knowing, which allow for Native American forms of maths or black people forms of maths. Maths isn't a thing. Maths isn't objective truth. Maths is social construct. And by saying that, they can then demonize anyone who criticizes them by mentioning the facts. They can just call them racist because no evidence is required. And if you present evidence, then you're just complicit in a racist system. And this is why we're in so much trouble.
Okay, so I get it. So they're pretending to be something that they're not and expecting the world to. And if you criticize it, they will call you a racist or sexist or a homophobe or whatever pronoun I'm going to call you. Okay, so I get it now. I was just confused over the whole thing because none of it made any sense to me. But it kind of makes sense to me that what they're trying to do. It makes sense to me what they're trying to do.
Yeah. But their basic premise, I mean, you find it in, Orwell's 1984, the idea that, the fundamental victory of the party in 1984 is to make you doubt the evidence of your eyes. So the whole point of it isn't that it should make sense. The point of it is that it doesn't have to make sense. It's just that you're not allowed to question whether it makes sense or not. And therefore, you must be able to convince yourself that 2 + 2 is 3 if the party says it is, or 1 if the party says it is the next day. East Asia is always at war with Oceania, which is also at war with West Asia, except when it isn't. All you have to do is go along with the narrative. It's entirely about narrative.
Similar to like there are 4 lights.
There are what? Sorry?
4 lights.
4 fingers even. Is that the bit?
That was a Stream Killer TNG reference, but
I missed that completely. And the really short form version of the rant is that some people believe insane things, and their whole ideology rests on you not being allowed to tell them that they're wrong. Elon Musk is threatening that, and that's why they're reacting against it.
I will say, Edge of Time, who removed the umlaut from the E because it's easier to type. I think this is the comment of the night. Math is racist.
It sounds hilarious, but American schools are teaching kids that this is true.
Yeah, they are.
Not all of them. Not all of them, but some of them are.
Yeah. Because it's not about the answer. It's about the showing your work is racist because not everybody can get the right answer or some crap like that. And I'm like, yeah, because they're just wrong. It happens.
So, Matty, obviously, as a parent who's aware of all this, are you worried?
Absolutely. I have 2 children. Only one of them is in school right now, but I worry about this crap all the time. I am constantly on the phone with her teacher being like, hey, what'd she learn today and stuff. So I was, so far so good on my end, but it does worry me because I don't like... I can't afford to right now to send them to private school, but I guess if I have to do that, I would find a way. But I worry about it all the time.
Yeah. Some states are worse than others, but that you get really absurd. I'm conscious I don't want to derail the stream with all this stuff, but like just on.
No, I think we need to hear this.
So like there are some school boards in certain US states. Again, it's wrong to say that this is everywhere, but it is definitely happening in places. Certain states worse than others. California is not particularly good for this, but you had particularly I think in California you had a extended period where, because most schools have school boards and the school boards are supposed to be accountable to parents, so you have to have public meetings at which parents are allowed to go and give their views and ask questions. It's kind of like school governors in this country where you can turn up to governors meetings and air your views. And there were certain school boards, particularly I think in California, where you had a large number of parents who caught wind of the stuff that their kids were being taught. And they were turning up to these school board meetings, and they were going off on one. They were really attacking the school board for the decisions it had made, and really criticizing the curriculum that they were forcing their kids to learn. The Biden administration's Department of Justice branded parents domestic terrorists because they were turning up and being angry at school board meetings. And then those school board meetings closed to the public, which is never a good sign. So there's this whole method, this whole framework that exists to shield these people from accountability, and Twitter is a really sort of it's a test case basically. Twitter
and the whole of Hollywood as well. The whole of Hollywood now is okay, right. So I understand it a bit more now. As I said, I just didn't understand the whole concept of what's going on. But how did this become such a big thing? How did they get power to actually do this? That this I don't understand how these people were taken seriously and put in positions of power. How could the school system accept something that doesn't make logical sense?
Well, I mean, so much of it is about how well you understand the power of what seem to be really small and inconsequential institutions. So there's a big thing in politics where people who are conservative tend to they tend to prize the value of institutions as institutions. They think institutions are important, but they don't tend to pay much attention to them. But there is a school in the left, you can find it. There's Saul Alinsky, who's an old left-wing activist who really taught based on, you can go back to Antonio Gramsci back in sort of the 50s in Italy. They teach that institutions are equivalently important, but you can't achieve anything like a revolution through the usual old school communist Soviet Union style revolution. That's impossible. What you need to do is to infiltrate institutions, because institutions have all the power in our society, but very few people are really aware of them. They don't pay much attention to what goes on in them until stuff goes really seriously wrong. So if you can get people into institutions, you can actually achieve a huge amount of change without people paying any attention to what you're doing. One of the most powerful men in American politics in sort of the 20th century is a guy no one has ever heard of. He's a guy called Robert Moses. And this is, by the way, this is why it's not just a left-right thing, because Robert Moses was quite a right-wing guy, a bit of a racist as well. He became the most powerful man in New York. He had a control of budgets in the trillions of dollars. He was responsible for all of New York's public infrastructure, most of its educational establishment. And he did this because he looked at the institutions and he said, which of these institutions actually make these decisions? And they're random things that no one would ever in their right mind pay attention to because they sound boring as fuck. Like the Interstate Transportation Commission. No one cares about that. It's boring, but it has a lot of power. So he went and sat on all these committees. He got to the head of all these committees. And the way he literally made New York what it is today, to the extent that, because he was a racist, he made bridges deliberately so low that buses couldn't get under them because buses were disproportionately used by black people who were minorities. So he just built bridges too low for buses so black people couldn't get to public parks, and therefore those public parks could be maintained as relatively affluent, white-centric kind of places. It happens on both sides, but the left has been doing this on this huge extent now, whereas you get these oddballs on the right like Robert Moses who understand the same principle. But the reason school boards are sort of the front and center of this battle now is because there is a faction on the left who've been brought up in social theory, born from France, but also from Gramsci and the rest of them, who understand that institutions have this much power. And if you get on these institutions, you can make changes before anybody notices them, and then you can erect frameworks that stop people from changing it or challenging you. And school boards are one example. There are the equivalent functions in Hollywood as well. And Twitter is a really good example of this because Twitter is the de facto public square, but it is also an institution with rules and regulations that are set by individuals. And those individuals are by and large of a particular form of the left, which understands the power of these rules and regulations, which is why you cannot safely go and espouse common sense views on Twitter without the threat of being banned, where you can say that the Soviet Union did nothing wrong. The Ayatollah Khomeini of Iran can have a Twitter presence. The Taliban can have a Twitter presence. Donald Trump, though, no, he's off. He's beyond.
No, he's off.
Anyway, sorry, ranting.
It sounds like a nightmare. It sounds like George Orwell's.
I had no idea. I kind of had an idea it ran deep, but I think it runs deeper, doesn't it? By the sounds of it.
It does. It's very scary that people could believe in something that doesn't have any logical place in the world. It's weird. It's absolutely weird. It's just, then again, people believe in God, and there's no logical reason to believe in God either. But
well, God's buying Twitter, isn't he?
Yeah, but yeah, I guess. But I mean, God doesn't try to destroy people, or the belief, obviously the core of it. But these people seem to, I don't know. It's just I don't understand how. Well, I now understand how they got to power and stuff like that. But anyway, let's just move on because this is depressing me. It's really depressing me.
Sorry, Bruce, there's one sort of note of positivity, which is that actually the majority of people involved in this do not have bad intent, and they are not consciously doing the kinds of things. All it takes is one or two people with direction and other people to just think that it will be polite, it will be impolite to disagree with them, and so they jump on board because it's fashionable to do so. But they're not committed conspiracists or anything like that. Most people are not sinister. They don't have genuine ill intent. They are going along with it because they genuinely think, because they're not told otherwise, they genuinely think that this is the right, good, meaningful, feelingful, progressive thing to do. And the fact that they're not really ideologically committed to it means that you can hope to change their minds. And eventually, if you get something, this is why stuff like Twitter is so important, because everyone uses this platform. This is where you get your ideas and your opinions. This is where you get a sense of what the general public opinion is. If you get someone like Elon Musk who comes and breaks into this cozy bubble of Twitter, then you might start to see the rest of this crumble as well, because most people aren't committed to it. Most people just genuinely think this is the nice thing to do. But it leads to extraordinary wrongs being committed. And this is why the ideology is so pernicious, because it doesn't require everyone believes in it. It just requires no one has the gumption to tell them that they're wrong. And it results in random crap like the Smithsonian Museum in the United States putting out a checklist on what white supremacy is. And on the checklist, it was like, if you turn up on time, prioritizing being on time is white supremacist. Prioritizing hard work is white supremacist. If you believe in meritocracy, you're a white supremacist. This is the Smithsonian Museum. It's the equivalent of the British Library. And people rightly pointed out, basically, you're saying that, black people, innate to being black is not being on time and not working hard. Isn't that kind of racist? And eventually they took it down because they realized they'd sort of stepped over the line a bit. But they did it because they don't really believe what they're saying. They just they go along with it. If Elon Musk is successful, then we might start to see this collapse. There are other ways in which you can start to tear this kind of edifice down.
Question for Ian.
Yeah.
Ian, are you a white supremacist?
I might be.
Question for Lord Cord. Are you a homophobe?
Yes, I'm massively. By their definition, absolutely.
It's just a nightmare. That's also. So basically, I understand that now. But where did all this thing about women being like a
intersectional feminism,
international species to be protected and stuff, and where all that stuff come from? The same branch? Did it come from that as well?
That's kind of different and that's why some of the real arguments over trans rights are between feminists now, because
that's it.
Fourth wave feminism.
Yeah, between third and fourth wave feminism, basically, or anything before fourth wave feminism. Feminism, it operates in exactly the same way. These are all ideologies. All ideologies operate in roughly the same ways. They just believe in very, very different things. But what you've had is a whole school of feminism, which has been brought up since feminism was created, which it began by saying that, the limited claim, which is that women are not equal in society back in the 1920s, which is true back in the 1920s. So, campaign for voting rights and all the rest of that stuff. Then you get in sort of the 1960s, which is where actually, funnily enough, the intersectional movement, all this woke stuff comes from the 1960s anyway. But woke sort of feminism in the 60s starts saying that actually it's not just about voting rights and it's not just about income. It's about systems and structures of power. And actually, there's such a thing as the patriarchy, and the patriarchy is a system of power. And therefore, women can be paid equally to men, but also it's still sexist because men have more power in other nebulous ways. But you've had this entire ideology brought up on this idea that men are oppressing women. And now you've got this movement which says, well, there's not really any such thing as men or women. And all of these sex-based rights that feminists fought for, and these feminists are now being told that there's no sex to base your rights on anyway. So what are you supposed to do with that? You can't say that we need women-only spaces if women don't exist as a concept, which is why people like J.K. Rowling are front and center of this fight against the other form of progressive sort of intersectional feminism or trans-friendly feminism, because J.K. Rowling is an older form of feminist who believes in sex-based rights, and the idea of sex-based rights undermines these ideas, these arguments from gender, because gender and sex are fundamentally incompatible as concepts. And she's very popular. She's also a woman, and she's a feminist, and so they recognize the threat she poses to their ideology, because we've been told for decades that being a woman who is a feminist, who is popular, is the best thing you can possibly be. So she's a huge threat to their arguments when she of all people comes around and says, actually, maybe it's not a good idea to put biological men in female prisons. That's maybe not a good thing we should be doing.
News this week, a trans person in a female prison in America got two female inmates up the duff. Do you see that?
I did, yes. Yeah, trans woman prisoner, gets two female prisoners pregnant was the headline there, I think.
And they're going to do that in Scotland as well.
Yep.
It's not good, is it? Anyway, okay.
Well, it might be good for Brian, but maybe not for anyone else.
Well, it depends if I'm feeling a bit fruity or not.
Are those your balls or mine?
That's really-
The funny thing is, they're trying to bring in new laws that are going to be that's against misogyny, that's going to hammer men specifically for that misogyny. So the way around about it is to identify as a woman.
Yeah.
Total and utter clusterfuck.
Just crazy. Okay. I would just say Lord Cord knows his shit, boys and girls. If you like stuff like that, check out his channel. Very popular, 1K subscribers. Ironically,
I thought, now I know more because of I call him the Lord. The Lord.
he is the Lord.
Basically, I know more now, and you've made it sound very simple. As I said, for a long time, I was wondering what this thing was all about, not understanding what was going on, but you kind of made it more clearer to me now. So I understand more of it now, which is,
Wow,
I guess,
that is
a
high
good thing,
praise.
I guess.
Well
I
done,
hope so.
Benjamin.
Good thing,
Thank you very
yeah.
much.
That's all right.
High,
I mean,
that is
Performance
high
service.
praise.
he is the
high
Lord,
praise.
so
Praise the lad. Praise the lad.
But it is, I mean,
Yeah.
like, not to get too soppy about it, but it is also why, like, people like you, Meggie, and actually people on this channel are so important, because actually, Twitter gives this totally false impression of where most people's basic common sense lies, and it's allowed to do this because it has these systems in place to prohibit normal people actually giving their normal opinion. But if you have any kind of cultural impact at all, if you write films, if you direct films, if you do channels discussing media, and you can bring people together who actually they don't believe this batshit mental stuff, then you've actually got what you're creating here is exactly the kind of alternate rival network, which is the thing that ultimately will break through this rubbish. So, to the extent that, we all here have some kind of platform, we all have some kind of clout, and we all produce cultural stuff. We have an incredibly important role to play here, which is why it's important almost not to overplay the villainy on the other side, but just to stubbornly carry on saying that, 2 + 2 = 4, no matter what they tell you it means.
Yeah.
Right.
As I said, it's bad because, as I said, some of my nieces has bought into all of this nonsense, and obviously you can't say anything because they will have a go at you. So I don't say anything to them, but I do say to them that they should listen to both sides if they want to come to any conclusion. That's the only advice I can give them. Well, they don't ask for advice, but hey.
Edge of Time has come in with a hammer blow of a comment. When all men switch their gender to female, equality will reign. Rain down fire, more like.
Well, actually, there was a study in Sweden when Sweden changed they allowed people in prison to self-identify their gender, and for the first time, once this law was passed, the rates of domestic abuse were equivalent between men and women, because a lot of male domestic abusers were just saying that they were women. Therefore, all women must be more likely to commit domestic abuse. Magic.
But I tell you how far this has reached, and it really did worry me. So basically, I'm trying to make this web series, and the main girl that we cast has quit. Okay, and so I said to my sister. So my sister said, "What happened?" I said, "Oh, she's quit because she basically thinks that I'm basically giving her anxiety and stuff and stuff like that." And so my sister said to me, well, she said, well, maybe you should assess your situation and maybe you are giving her anxiety. Immediately she took the side of the girl. So I said to her, that is ludicrous. You don't even know what is actually happened, yet you're taking her side and you're my sister. I don't understand where this is coming from. And I think that's how far this thing has reached.
And you're not even white either. That's what disgusting, isn't it?
But it appeals to people's better nature. Like, people instinctively think, well, okay, if someone's saying that they're stressed out, maybe it is the fault of somebody else. Maybe it's not the fault of the person. It appeals to people's best nature in that way, because you want to be kind and sympathetic to people. But that's why you see stuff like mental health, like anxiety, weaponized now as an excuse. I mean, I use this at university these days. If you don't have to provide evidence. If you can just say, "I'm really sorry, I'm suffering from depression or anxiety this week. I can't hand in my exam," or give me a more favorable marking because I'm feeling stressed, they will have to say yes, because mental health has been weaponized in this way, and you're not allowed to say no, as you found out with this person quitting because of anxiety. Well,
I saw this show was like The Bachelorette or something like that, and so this woman made all these guys do this sexy dance. And so she was talking to every one of them, and she came up to this guy, and this guy said to her, "Look, I think what you've made us do is wrong." Do you know what I mean? I mean, we're not sexual objects. And she went, "Ugh," and she started crying. She ran off. Right, right. So this is true, right? And all the other men came up to him and said, "You bastard! Why did you make her cry?" Without even questioning the situation, without even asking him why she's. They made a judgment call purely based on the girl crying.
Mm.
And that to me is absolute bollocks. It really is.
Women have got the power, but they just didn't realise it, in my opinion. But there you go.
And the guy was saying, "Look, she's wrong. She's completely wrong. If we did that to her, then that would be considered sexist. So why is it she's allowed to do it to us?" And they were still going, "You bastard! You made her cry," and stuff like that. And it's like they weren't even listening to him. So, men are really getting a hard time, it seems.
Yeah.
It just seems that way, personally. But yeah, this whole thing is, the wave is going right across, right across normies and stuff like that. And that's what's scary. What's scary. But anyway, whatever.
There is more stuff to do, but I think shall we leave it there on that bombshell?
No, let's carry on. What else are you supposed to be talking about?
Okay, well, it's going from the sublime to the ridiculous then. As I said, boys and girls in the chat, Lost Chord, he knows his stuff. Check his channel out with him and Oscar. They're really good. Really, really good with the kind of stuff like that. Ironically, though, their channel is doing really well on the Discovery and Picard stuff, so there's a lesson in there somewhere. Okay, let's see what's next.
Oh God, here we go.
This keeps going, doesn't it? Sandra Bullock says, "Just fucking cast Daniel Radcliffe
as Wolverine," but he's a kid. He's Wolverine's a grown man. I know he's a grown man, but he still looks
he's a good actor, though, isn't he?
Yeah, but he's a kid. He still acts like a kid. And also, his voice is very, very. How should I put it? Not
girly.
Rough. Girly. His voice is girly, so I can't imagine Wolverine being so girly.
He's not mates with Leah Thomas, is he?
I don't think he's right.
No, I agree.
Wolverine.
Who's the other one? Taron Egerton.
Was he in Kingsman, the first Kingsman?
Yeah, the Kingsman. Yeah. I like him. He's all right.
I don't think he's right either.
I don't either.
I think they're both too young, aren't they?
Yes, I think so. Mind you, in the comics, Wolverine's meant to be 5 foot. He's not really 6 foot. So, yeah.
I will say, what has Sandra Bullock got to do with it?
Right.
She worked with him on that film that's just come out.
The Lost City.
That's it. That's the one. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Brian has posted a link in the chat for the Lord's channel. Go pray at the whole altar of the Lord.
You should really change that. Lost to Lord. Anyway, I think he shouldn't play Wolverine personally.
Yeah, and that's an excellent point. What does she? What does she have to do with anything? Like, she's just open her mouth. Like, yeah, make him Wolverine. Okay, Sandra Bullock, let's just do that.
I do like Sandra Bullock, actually.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, she's great.
Funny. Yeah, she's great. But the thing is, I'm pretty sure that she just said it, just off the cuff, and they've used this to create some news and stuff. Yeah, that's probably what they've done.
Could not think of a worse casting decision than to put Daniel Radcliffe. Right. I think I'd rather see Les Dennis as Wolverine.
So, any suggestions? Chat, can you come up with any suggestions for the next Wolverine?
Well, the way the MCU's been going, they could actually cast Sandra Bullock as the next Wolverine.
Leah Thompson should be all right.
I think they should get someone new to play Wolverine, just like Hugh Jackman was hardly known and they cast him. Just like Christopher Reeves was hardly known and they cast him. They should do that now rather than look for stars to play ludicrous superheroes that's dressed in spandex. They need new actors. That's what they need. So.
Toxic comment from Edge of Time. How long before her plastic surgery melts?
She apparently she hasn't had any.
I think Sandra Bullock is one of the good persons.
I don't know. I don't know her, but what I do know is that I find her very funny, and I find her sometimes attractive, sometimes, and I don't have a problem with her. She hasn't really said anything that I know of that's pissed me off.
I've always thought that she kind of understands. She gets it, and that she's kind of realizes that she's lucky. And she doesn't come over as preachy, and she just seems a genuine person. But
she has a horrible taste in men, though. She's going at some geezer with all the tattoos all over him. It's just ridiculous. But then again, a lot of people are saying that Sandra's a very messy person. What you see is not what you get. What she really is like, So I don't know. Who knows? But who cares? They're movie stars.
I think Edge of Time cares.
Right.
Okay, so we shall move on from that.
The woke show.
Did anybody actually watch
No.
Kate Bishop's show?
I did.
You'd have watched it, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I watched it.
Was it any good?
Listen, I'll be honest with you. This is the only MCU show that I actually liked. But I liked, but it's because I like Hawkeye. I thought he was
Same here.
I thought he was pretty good, and I don't know, I always tell people, I think it's just because I relate to him as a dad, because I don't know, I thought he was a good dad and everything. So but you're right, it was the Kate Bishop show, which was a bummer because everybody's all like, oh, it's like those comic books, and I was like, listen, it's been a while since I read those comic books, but if I remember correctly, I didn't like them too much. So and the Kingpin was really not that great, and yeah, it was just, there was a lot of stuff that I didn't like, but I just this is the only one that I like, but that's not saying much. So
I don't trust Disney. Disney takes a hero and they basically bait and switch, and they basically, or if they don't do it, they try to do it subtly.
Right.
And so this is the example of this. I saw 2 episodes and that was enough for me. I just thought, all a waste of my time.
I didn't see any of it.
Yeah, so that's what they're doing, and it's evident right across the board. That's what they're doing. So that's why I don't have any time for Disney anymore. I really don't. Have you seen what's that cartoon? They did a cartoon version, they did a real life version, Mulan.
So I saw that.
I sat through Mulan, the live action version, with my sister's kids, and I was appalled by the way they actually, basically everything that the cartoon did was absolutely right on. Like, she struggled to be in a man's world. She did all this stuff. She used her brain to figure out certain things. And in this one, everything, she was perfect. She didn't need to be trained. She had superpowers.
That chi she had. And I'm all like, what?
Wasn't that a shot in camps where you concentrate?
Yes.
And then Disney, woke progressive Disney, which is really in favor of minority rights, actually thanked the regional administrator of a concentration camp in Xinjiang province for letting them film and use slave labor as extras in Mulan.
Welcome to the Disney Channel, everybody.
But that's what I'm saying. That is that's their MO, Disney. So why would I trust anything that's coming out of Disney? I can't. I mean, Marvel was okay before they joined Disney. Marvel had a clear exactly. Marvel had a clear what you call it? They knew where they were going.
Yeah, business plan. Yeah.
And then when Disney took them over, just everything fell to shit basically.
10 years since Avengers.
Could you guys, I don't know about you guys, right? I'm a huge comic book fan. I can remember being so excited about the Avengers and seeing all those characters come together for the very first time. And you know what? When I was in the cinema, I felt like a kid when I was watching that film. To get something back like that now is
I couldn't agree more. That scene where they do that circle shot and all the Avengers, that is like one of my favorite scenes of all the MCU. Even though it's like you said, like forever old, but I love that shot. And Avengers is so good. It's so good.
It is good, and as I said, it was like a combination of all the other films, actually going towards that film there. And it's honestly, I mean, even though Joss Whedon is a right arsehole, he did a really good job on that film. He really did. And I take my hat off to him. Some of the gags in there were really funny. And when you do a deep dive on the Avengers, you realize how good the script really is. Like for instance, right? You don't realize when I've watched it 20 times. I watch it 20 times. On the 20th time, I realized that Loki was basically manipulating everyone. And what's his name? Bruce Banner wipes his eyes because he basically screws his eyes up because that diamond thing was actually infiltrating what everybody was doing and saying. And I didn't realize that the first time I watched it. Do you know what I mean? And so it's just little things like that in the script. And also another thing that you don't realize is when that thing happens at Shield, and then Coulson says, "What do we do?" And then he says, "We're at war." And he said, and then that line is, "What do we do?" And then suddenly the Avengers title comes on, and I thought that was really well done because he's asking a question and it's giving you the answer right there with the credits in the very beginning of the film. I don't think a lot of people realize that at all. So you'll have to go back now and watch that bit.
There are plans afoot to actually cover that film.
Yeah, it's a good film.
Conversations have been made about covering that in the next few weeks. Romeo, Tango, November, Zulu. Yeah, I rewatched Avengers the other day. It holds up against any other MCU film. It's terrific.
It is. The only thing that spoils it is the costume. Is Captain America's costume looks a bit rubbish, but apart from that, the film really does hold up.
I would say, as a normie who was not into the comics, for me, that film, I knew that it was an event.
It was, yeah,
it was.
And here we go. This is it. And I think everybody was the same. And I just think, in a way, it was magical.
It was because when you were a kid, you dreamt about that being on screen. You look at the comics and you think, "Oh my God, if only they could do this on screen." And they've got the technology now, and they did it. And that was like, a childhood dream of mine to see all those heroes on screen. And that's why I loved it. I don't know about you guys, but
it's simple. It's optimistic, which is it's one of the main things about it. It doesn't try and subvert your expectations. There's one really meta line, which is actually it's also Agent Coulson, funnily enough, when they're talking about Captain America's uniform. Captain America says, "Aren't the stars and stripes a little bit old fashioned?" And he says, "I think the world could do it with a little bit of the old fashioned about now." And that's sort of it's the most meta comment in that film. And it's also because it explains why that film is so successful. It doesn't try and do anything very new. It doesn't try and subvert your expectations. It's not trying to carve some new path through Hollywood storytelling. It takes the basic fundamentals of what have always made for great stories with great characters, and it just plays on those established themes, and it does it excellently. And it's not a coincidence that it's therefore the most loved of any of the major productions that have come out in the last sort of 20 or 30 years, because it understands the power of that sort of the old-fashioned hero's arc, the old-fashioned methods of storytelling and filmmaking. And I would happily watch that over and over again over most of what comes out nowadays.
And even the unusual gags in there, like when he says that guy's playing Gallagher. I mean, on the face of it, that if you read it, that's not funny. But it was just the way he delivered the line, Robbie Downey Jr. And that bit where he says, "I'm bringing the party to you." And then Scarlet Witch goes, "That doesn't look like a party," and that big thing is coming towards them. You know what I mean? I thought that was really funny in the cinema, but as I said, if you read it, it's probably not funny at all.
If I may interrupt, sorry. Matty, are you going to leave us now? Yes.
I am.
Oh,
I gotta-
sorry, mate.
Oh, you're good. I just I have 2 little ones, and one of them's got
They
school
come
tomorrow.
first. Yes.
I got to get them off to bed, so I will.
Many thanks, my friend.
No, thank you for having
A
me. This
pleasure
has been
to have you
blast.
on. It's been
Yeah,
great,
you
man.
guys are great. I will see you guys later.
We'll just finish off. Yes.
All right, bye.
You take
See
care.
you.
See you next time, my friend.
Bye.
Take care. Bye bye.
Sound
Cheers,
a bit
Matt.
rude. Finishing off. It's a bit rude.
And then there were 4. I was just going to say the best thing about the film, looking back now, is Loki had a pair of bollocks.
Yes,
Yes.
absolutely. Absolutely. As I don't really want to gush over the film, but as I said, it was a childhood dream, and not only for me, but millions around the world that they wanted to see that movie. And Kevin Feige, is it Kevin Feige? Kevin Feige.
Feige.
He basically created a miracle there because throughout all the odds, he did it. He literally did it. So. Even with the Hulk, because the Hulk was tainted by Ang Lee, wasn't it? Everybody hated that version of the Hulk.
Yeah.
So he did a really good job as far as I'm concerned. But
Do you think the Hulk was slightly overpowered in that film?
No, the Hulk was perfect in that film as far as I'm concerned. The raging, Hulk and I just thought that the whole thing worked beautifully as far as I was concerned. It really did work very, very well. The Thor film was okay. I mean, what was the film that was really? I mean, Captain America film was good as well. The standalone films, they were really good.
Yeah.
They all led up to that, and that was, as far as I was concerned, it was really. It wanted at the ending. It made you want more. It really did made you want to see more, and you can't ask for anything else from a movie.
Brian, would you care to read the comments in the chats, please?
RNTNZ in the chat said, "We didn't know how to stage a moment. I'm always angry," followed by the Hulk's transformation and destruction of that massive creature.
Yeah,
Whedon is talented.
He is. I mean, a lot of people like to slag him off. Yes, he's done some bad things, but who hasn't? But you can't dismiss his talent, from Buffy the Vampire Slayer to the Avengers. He knows what he's doing. So there you go.
Maybe sometimes you have to push people hard to get the best out of them. Although probably some of his way of pushing was a bit.
I don't think anyone could. I experienced a tiny bit of it, but I can imagine what it's like when it's exaggerated tenfold. When you work for a company or work for people with money, it's very difficult to actually get what you want to do, because you're always constantly you're fighting someone that has no talent whatsoever, trying to influence the film. So I can just imagine that was with Joss Whedon, that you had all these producers going, we want the Hulk to be grey. Do you know what I mean? We want Captain America to wear a dress or something like that. I can just imagine the ludicrous things they were suggesting. I mean, there's a great story. There's a great story when Tim Burton was directing Batman. I don't know if you heard of it. So do you know if you remember the scene where the bat plane crashes into the steps?
Yeah.
Do you remember that scene? So basically, Tim Burton wanted the plane on the steps, and the 2 producers came on and they said, "What are you doing?" And Tim Burton was like, "I'm shooting the scene." And I was like, no. We don't want the bat plane to be. We want it to be over there. So basically, they got this crane and they lifted the prop and they put it over there. And the 2 producers went, "That's terrific, right? We're going to lunch." And they went to lunch, and then Tim Burton said to them, "Can you put it back, please?" And they put it back and they shot the scene. And then when they had the premiere, the producers didn't even realize that's what he did. Do you know what I mean? So that's the thing. Sometimes you're working for people who thinks they have talent and think they know best when they have no clue. And you have to navigate yourself around.
Goober and Peters or something with the producers.
Those 2. Yeah, those 2.
I was actually doing the slides for that. It's one of our future films.
Yep.
We're doing them today.
We've all got these lined up, yes. Edge of Time in the chat. Video once killed the radio star. Internet is killing the movie star.
I don't think so. I think movies are here to stay, personally. I'd like to think movies are here to stay. But cinema is in danger, but I don't think it will go. Remember they used to say, theatre is definitely dying, but it didn't. It's still here.
It's the shared experience. We've been in a position where we're not allowed to share things for the past 2 years.
We are now.
Unless if you're called Boris.
Yeah,
I've been sharing a virus for quite a long time.
yeah.
Okay, so right, we'll try and we're definitely finishing at 2. So
Oh,
this dropped this week.
Disney.
One of the Disney CEO, John Barron, called his name is says the company made a hasty decision to go woke and now regrets it.
Well, I shouldn't have done it in the first place, should he? Or shouldn't he? Who knows?
I think it's to do with the Disneyland. As I said, people going around with the gay pride stuff, and the people on site are just leaving in droves.
Or what do you mean, leaving their jobs?
No, just leaving in droves. These activists or entertainers going around the park during the day with gay pride flags, and literally the customers are just walking out straight away because they just don't want it. They just don't want to see it.
Okay.
And their share price took a pounding this week because I think Disney are in trouble. And the story in a nutshell is they listened to going back to the Twitterati, they listened to the wrong. He basically says they listened to the wrong crowd, and they're paying for it now.
Well, I mean, they haven't got some flames, haven't they?
Just as there is this minority of online activists, but they're also represented partially in Disney's staff. Disney's staff it's unionized, but also it has there are blocks within the staff, and some of the most vocal of those are the people who are protesting against Florida's they call it the Don't Say Gay bill. The bill says no such thing, so they protested, and then there have been counter protests outside Disney, basically saying stop indoctrinating our children. And you now can't divorce Disney from the whole political kerfuffle going on around it. And most people do not want to go to a theme park to have politics shoved down their throats. They want to go to a theme park because they like the properties and they like the rides. And people get tired of having this politics shoved down their throats over and over again every single day, especially from corporations like Disney, which is so obviously hypocritical. The same week as it was doing its counter protest against Ron DeSantis's Don't Say Gay bill, pretending it's this bastion of gay rights, Disney Plus quietly launched in Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Yemen, and 10 other countries where you are actually imprisoned or sentenced to death for being gay. No comment on that at all. Just we really stand for the rainbow people in America. Doesn't matter over there though, because don't pay attention to that. That's that's something else.
Yeah. I mean, it's so I never understood the problem, but now I do because of what you said. I think they've only got themselves to blame that they allowed this poison to enter their company.
Brian, would you care to read the comment?
Working for you in 1969, it says. The executives in a meeting, it was on Zoom and some cunt leaked it. They were pushing the trans propaganda and it's taking the stock. Disney Plus and overall revenue.
But you know what, guys? I think the people, that the gay pride thing and stuff like that, I think it's been infiltrated, hasn't it?
It's been weaponized, yeah.
It's quite simple, really. People should recognize gay people and lesbians, and they should be recognized as people, and they should be respected. But what the Lord said is these people, they've infiltrated that pure, because let's face it, is pure. If they're asking for respect and they deserve respect, just like everybody else. Doesn't matter what sexuality you are.
Agreed.
But these people have infiltrated that pure circle, and now it's tainted, and now people are confused. It's a shame that's happened, as far as I'm concerned. I don't know about what you guys think.
Yeah, I mean, the old original demands were just leave us alone. What we do is none of your business. We want a private life as well as just as anybody else does. But the modern sort of activist movement isn't content with private life. It doesn't demand private acceptance and you know, just people getting along on exactly the same terms, equal treatment under law. What it wants special treatment. It wants mass acceptance, and it wants to push very specific things which are much more contentious. So this is why, like, the whole alphabet movement, the LGBT movement, makes no sense. The LGB and the T are very different propositions. One is a sexuality and one is fundamentally not a sexuality. It's a view on gender. It's a view on everything else, which demands public political acceptance. And Disney has hamstrung itself, you know, over and over again with this. It's gone too far because it was criticized for not doing enough to combat the Florida law. And so it responded by going way too far in the other direction, to the extent where I think there was a story published in one of Disney's own outlets last week, I think it was, when Disney revealed it set up a fund to help its own employees, but also their children, transition, as in have gender changing surgeries.
Oh, that's terrible. That's terrible.
It's shocking.
Why would you want to go to a theme park where your wages are going to use, you know, it's, I know trans people, I think trans people deserve exactly the same rights as I do, but there's a huge difference between that and saying it's a done, settled issue. Children should be allowed to transition, and we should pay, and we should have to pay for all of that. This is a debate that we are having. I'm on one side of this debate. I know where I stand, but it is a debate that we're having anyway. So even if you don't take a side, you should probably not say we should act as though the debate is settled. And actually, yeah, hormone blockers for children, there's no controversy there at all. It's absolutely right that a theme park should use the money you spend when you go on its rides to give children puberty blockers, and then, you know, assist them in changing their gender when they're under the age of fucking 12. This is just wrong. You can see why people dislike this.
But why? Okay, so why didn't they? So why didn't the CEO and the people that were in charge go, okay, right, fine. If you people want this stuff to be pushed through, you know, in movies, okay, we'll create a special section for you, and you can create something for yourselves. Why did they allow it to infiltrate things like, you know, Pinocchio and all the stuff that has gone in the past? That's the mistake they made. If you stood up and you say, right, I don't believe in your cause, but I can help you. Here's a section. Carry on. You know what I mean? Right. You know, and then
but then that's segregation, then, isn't it?
No, it's not. It's basically helping them. They can say you're never going to be pleased anyway, no matter what you do. So,
no, you're not.
But I think that's a way out. You go, right, here's a section. Here's a bit of money. Go and make stuff that you think is right for the kind of people you're representing. Therefore, not, you know, poisoning and pissing off the fandom and people that like pure stuff, as far as they're concerned. That's probably the best way, right?
I will say, just down the road from Disney land is Universal Studios, and that's doing a roaring trade at the moment. And their rides and stuff are years old and not state of the art like Disney. So there you go. People don't want to be lectured. Right, we'll just quickly blast through these. So more, obviously Marvel is Disney. So here you go, more of that.
That actually, so this is this sort of touches on what Mega Geek just said about having, you know, carving out sections of entertainment. So Marvel Voices actually is one of these examples. It's so that they're actually trying to do both. They actually have set up these separate divisions where they try and push all of this propaganda stuff. The thing is, nobody wants to read comics just to get sexual politics, so no one reads Marvel Voices. So I've actually there's a list of these other Marvel sort of subcategories, I guess you could call them. And Nate, okay, tell me if you've heard of any of these. There's Marvel's Voices. There's Indigenous Voices for Native American talent to make Marvel comics. God. There's Marvel Voices Legacy, which is for Black writers. Marvel Voices Pride, which is for gay writers. Marvel Voices Identity, which is for Asian writers. Marvel Voices Comunidades, which is for Latinx, they call them, writers. Marvel Voices Heritage, which is for more indigenous characters. But like, no one has ever heard of these, and no one in their fucking right minds would read them. But that means that makes them bad for propaganda, and therefore activists are not satisfied with this. They want it pushed in mainstream entertainment because they know that their own subcategories do not appeal to people, so they want to have to force it somewhere else.
Is there Marvel Toxic White Male Voices?
I think they would say that's any Marvel product from, you know, more than 10 years ago, because all history is racist.
but then that's what so their main objective is to destroy.
Yeah.
See, that's the thing. You can
Easier to destroy, mate.
yeah, you can sugarcoat it
create.
as much as you want. They've given them a platform. You give them a platform, and they'll see that what they're pushing nobody wants, but they don't want that. They basically want to push it, as you say, in mainstream, but also by pushing it mainstream, you're destroying. That's their MO. They want to destroy stuff, and I don't understand why people can't see that. It's
Edge of
ridiculous.
Time in the chat. The audience isn't large enough on its own. LGBTQ is less than 5% of the population, but they've got the loudest voices, and Twitter enables it, mate.
I mean, kind of yes and no. I mean, those figures are virtually meaningless because you've got anybody older than a certain generation is likely to underreport. But then anybody under a certain generation, because they've expanded the term to include queerness, and queerness is just whatever the hell you think you are, then they overreport. So like there was a poll out the other day saying that something like 27% of people under the age of 25 identify as queer, but queer doesn't mean gay or lesbian or transgender or bisexual. It's just anything you like. And it's that easy. So those figures, I think the figure is probably more than 5% for genuinely, gay, lesbian, bisexual people. Probably quite a bit higher than that, but it's not as high as 27%. But the thing is, like most gay people, trans people, lesbian people, and bisexual people do not want to go to comics just to read gender politics. They go to comics because they want really good stories with good, believable characters. Yeah. And because funnily enough, people are not that different. Like there's not a huge difference between what straight people like in a good story and what gay people like in a good story. You just want a good story, which is why, some of one of the biggest, most successful things to come out recently was Arcane on Netflix. Picard, yeah. But Arcane, right? So Arcane, one of the main characters in Arcane is gay, but it's the point of Arcane isn't to push gay political propaganda. It's just to have a good story with really believable characters, which is why Arcane is really well liked, no matter what your sexuality is. And unfortunately, when you get stuff like this, where you take Spider-Man, who is an established character, and you say, right, he's gay now, you're not just creating a gay character without any meaningful work going into it. You're also taking something from other people. You're taking a character that people have grown up with since the 60s and fundamentally changing a profound thing about their nature.
Superman got raped in prison.
Yeah, fuck off. It was just ridiculous stuff.
Didn't he?
Yeah, but it turns everything into this zero-sum game where you have to fight about it because you are deliberately taking an established character. You're taking something that other people like and care about, and you are changing it to suit your politics. Of course, you're going to piss people off like that. If you want to get proper gay representation in art, create good new characters who everyone can like because their stories are great. Just do that, and everyone will be happy. And
do you know what's funny? Right, and this is not me promoting myself, but I'm a straight man of color, and I created a character that was gay. So I didn't.
Were you virtue signaling though?
No, that wasn't. But it wasn't. I wasn't trying to make any statement or anything like that.
So you weren't virtue signaling.
No, I wasn't. I just.
That's the difference, folks.
Find it weird. I find it weird that like I don't know. It's just. I just think this whole thing has gotten out of hand. Entertainment used to be entertainment, and now it's just become a weapon. It's ridiculous.
But I can guarantee the character that you've written to be gay will be a much better character because you didn't write them just because they were gay. It was just like that's the thing about them. But you wrote the character because the character needed to be there.
That's right.
Just do that. Like the book I've got, the main character is, I think he's technically bi, but like I deliberately did not play that up as an important thing about his character. It's like it's color to the character. It adds depth to the character and the relationships. But the book is not designed to tell you something about why sexuality should be politically represented. It's just this is a character who belongs in this work and it fits. And your character will be much better than fucking gay Spider-Man.
I open your work. There's a section of white man bad.
That's the thing. You see, if you, I'm sure everyone that doesn't subscribe to all this nonsense, they just write, and whatever comes out of them, it's natural. It's not. They're not trying to push an agenda. It just so happens that I have a couple of white guys that are baddies in my show. So, I mean, does that mean to say I'm trying to push an agenda? No.
Well, I hope they're going to meet hideous deaths.
I don't know, but I do. I have my character falls in love with someone that's not gay,
Hmm.
and she has to
What?
face that fact. That's it. Do you know what I mean? So I don't think they would do that. These people, if they're if they're creating
No,
something, but
it's all this kind of, it's a wish fulfillment fantasy. It's like
Yeah.
self-insert fan fiction writers. If you want a believable gay character, one of the most believable things you can have about a gay character is that at some point they will fall in love with someone who cannot love them back in that way.
exactly.
That's a fundamental thing about growing up being gay. And it adds
Yeah.
so much more depth to the character if you have that real experience imparted onto that character. But now, like gay Spider-Man, I guarantee you gay Spider-Man will be able to fall in love with whoever he wants to fall in love with, because everyone else in that universe is
Yeah,
also at
yeah.
least bisexual. There's no trial, there's no trouble, there's no stress, there's no disappointment. There's nothing that actually makes real life people move. It's just, you can have whatever the hell you want because that's easy for us to write. Isn't that good? Representation, the message.
Representation. Will gay Spider-Man fall in love with the Green Gobble?
Maybe. But as
I'm
I
here
said,
all
I was
week.
talking to Ian a couple of weeks ago about this new Elvis film, and the guy that playing Elvis, I'm sorry, he looks very effeminate, and I'm totally confused. If you look at Elvis, he's very manly. He's and also he's a man of color as well. Elvis, if you look closely, he's a man of color, and in this film, this guy's white. He looks very effeminate, and I'm confused, totally confused over it. I don't know if you've seen the trailer. It's just obviously the guy that's directing it, he's gay, right? He directed Romeo and Juliet and
Or Baz Luhrmann?
Baz Luhrmann. He's gay, right? Is Baz Luhrmann
Yeah.
gay?
No, I think
Right.
no. I think he's married.
Oh, is he?
No, I'm sure he's married. Yeah.
Then I'm totally confused now. Why? You would
We all
cast
are,
him
mate.
on-
Edge of Time in the chat. They already won because we use woke language and think woke thoughts.
Yeah, speak for yourself.
And right on time, right at the end, like it did yesterday, the Harbinger of Doom has turned up. Hello, Time Prophet. Hello.
Hail.
We'll try and finish off the next couple of minutes. Romeo, will gay Spider-Man team up with gay Superman?
Superman's not gay. It's his son, isn't it? Or something like that.
Oh, but
Somebody said to me.
I think the son now is Superman or something. So
Oh,
there is actually a gay Superman.
It's all bollocks.
It is. It's all rubbish, isn't it? It's just doesn't make
CNN.
It's all
CNN
bollocks
actually
and
led
bangs.
with it. CNN put a news piece on their primetime news channel saying Superman is now gay, as though this is fucking news. Who cares? It's not going to be a well-written comic. No one's going to want to read it. And when was the last time comic books made front-page news on Don Lemon's show on CNN?
I don't know, mate. I don't
something
know.
being pushed there, isn't it?
Time Prophet, they're all gay now.
They can fly now. They're all gay now.
Yeah. Right. We're going to finish, chaps.
All right.
This kind of went on about an hour longer than I thought it would.
Sorry about that.
Once the Lord hits the ground running, that's it. I'll just say to everybody in the chat, it's always the regulars. We truly appreciate you guys. Hopefully things will happen for the channel, but we have a good time. I think that's the main thing. Just chewing the fat and just being here. And
This is pub talk as far as I'm concerned.
it is.
Yeah,
It
definitely.
is.
That's basically what it is. Yeah.
And it's easier than going to the pub, literally.
Well,
one day we will all
Cost
meet
you
up.
less.
Yeah. One day we will all meet up. I'll just say, PJ, there's an open invite, mate. If you want to come on one of these one night, give us a shout. So I will thank the guests, not Brian.
Thanks, Bruton. Thanks also to Ben, Ian, Matt, and the chat. And I would like to say, PJ, yes, definitely welcome.
Yeah, PJ, come on, mate. Mega Geek, Ian, cheers, pal. I hope you learnt something this evening.
No, I did, and as I said,
man.
for weeks I was struggling to figure out what it all meant, and I think the lad put it in perspective.
lad.
So now I know more now. So there you go.
He's a good lad. He's a good lad, isn't he? And last but by no means least, big congratulations. He reached the 1K on his channel today, so it's only a matter of time before he sells out. It is the wonderful, and it's Lord Cord. Thank you, my friend.
Thank you for putting up with me and up the counter revolution. If I come back next week and I start saying stuff like, "No, I think it's a really good thing that Superman is gay. Pride flags everywhere. He hates men," then just
You've been
shoot
booted
me,
off, mate.
'cause,
But
yeah, I would have sold out, but that shouldn't happen.
shall we finish on a high?
What, with some drugs?
Oh yes, please. Where's Z when you need him? Okay, here we go.
Do you know what? I just hope she has a painful transition into something. I just hope
Leah
so.
Thompson, or whatever her name is.
I think
God.
Disney can help with painful transitions now, can't they?
But you know what, right? If she changes in this episode into another woman, the whole of Twitter's going to blow up. Everyone's going to blow up. There's going to be YouTube videos everywhere and stuff. But we'll see, right? We'll see, because you never know with these things. You never know. So,
One more episode to go.
yeah, thank God. Thank God. But they have two assistants that were in the classic Doctor Who, don't they? In the next episode. They
Yeah,
have
it was
Ace.
Ace,
and
yeah.
I can't remember the other one.
The other one.
Yeah, the other one. But yeah. So there you
go. Prophet of Doom. It will be a woman. The Doctor can't be male again.
Yeah, we'll see.
I, for one, look forward to welcoming Phoebe Waller-Bridge to her new role.
Oh God!
As we said yesterday, if it's a woman, it's finished.
Or what about was it June Salpor for her name is? She's probably the new Doctor. Yeah. So there you go.
Okay, right. I think that is it. Mr. Brown Alliance, please consider donating to the channel. Links in the description, etc., etc. Please like, share, subscribe. We will see you next Saturday with a film. We may do something good next week for once. So I think that's it. Take care, everybody. Bye.